Once again, we're taking advantage of that natural light. I just keep bringing these plants in and out. Saves us using as lights as well, and natural sunlight is much better for them. These are the peppers that we've been doing. I keep showing you these peppers all the time. I just like you to keep getting updated on progress of things. We had a couple of questions regarding peppers over the last couple of days. Some people have got plants at a stage now where they're starting to produce flower buds, and they will do that even at this really young age, but you don't want to let them do that. I'm trying to find one on one of these plants. I think this one might have one growing on it right in the centre. Tiny little flower bud. Let's see if camera picks that up. Not sure if you can see that, but there is a tiny little flower bud trying to grow in the middle, and what I tend to do with those is I'll just grab that little flower bud and pinch it off. I think these plants need some water. It's difficult to show on camera so close up. That little flower bud there needs to come off. We're not pinching the tops off these plants. We're just removing that bud so it doesn't continue to grow. The reason I'm doing that is when your plants are at such an early age, you don't want them trying to grow peppers. It's going to concentrate a lot more on trying to produce a pepper and not actually growing your plant. So you'll end up with stunted little plants, and then when you do get your peppers, they're going to be really small, not really much good for anything. So if you start getting these little flower buds appearing at this early time at season, just pinch those off. You're not topping your plants, you're just taking the buds away. If you were topping your peppers, it'd be a different story. You'd be taking away quite a few leaves from it, which is great if you've got peppers that are leggy, because then you can force it to put side growth on. This one's got a couple of old leaves at bottom, taking those off. And then you can see that we've got the true leaves. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of true leaves on that plant now. So if this pepper was really tall, you could just pinch the top out. And to do that, I'll show you on this one plant. To do that, you would just take a section of those leaves, whatever you want to remove. You could just take those top bits there, or you could go down a bit further, but what I tend to do is just pinch off that top bit there, and that's what we've removed. So that pepper is now being topped, and what you're going to notice is it's going to start to grow little side branches, and it's not going to grow so much on top anymore. And it will carry on growing upwards, just at a much slower rate. And what that produces is a shorter but bushier plant, and then it will put out those extra branches. You'll get more flowers and more peppers, and depending on the size that you grow your plant to will determine what size peppers you get. So we've topped that one, and we'll keep following that over the next couple of weeks and see how much side growth we get from it. But if you've got the flower buds, just take the flower buds off. Don't top them if you don't need to. So we've brought them out to get a bit of natural light. It's going to do them good. And we'll keep them out of full sunlight, because we don't want to start scorching leaves. And while you're out here, have a little check, see if there's any aphids on your plants as well. Just look under your leaves, because that's where they will be. And so far this year, we've been lucky, because we haven't got any. They'll be coming, don't worry. So every now and again, just inspect under your leaves, and then you'll see these tiny little creatures, which are basically draining all the sap out your leaves, which will ruin your plant if you don't do something about it. But you can just get a little pressure sprayer and just blast on the leaves and knock them all off, and that will get rid of them for now. And you might remember that as an experiment, we said, because we'd got a few peppers left after we potted these ones on, I was just going to leave what were left outside in greenhouse. No fleas, no protection, just sat on bench. And they're over there. They've been here a couple of days now, and them plants are perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with them at all. Just gave them a little water because they're still only in small cells. But the plants aren't suffering, and that's the main thing. So that's good news. And then we've got the ones that we did move on and we kept those indoors. And if you remember, we had the little first true leaves appearing on these. Again, only a couple of days ago. But now if you look at that one there, it's got quite a big true leaf on it. So just from moving them on into this pack from that tiny little cell that they're in is making all the difference already, just a couple of days later. So everything is getting a bit of a sunbathe. And you also remember we looked at that pack that we put as tomato seeds in, and we got a tiny little tomato plant growing, the start of something. Once again, 2 days later, and we've now got quite a few growing, and some have even got 2 growing because we put 2 seeds in each cell to guarantee we get something. There's a couple that's not come up yet, but that doesn't mean that they won't do later. But what you want to be doing is, in this situation, you've got 3 plants trying to grow in there, if you can see that. I know it's early, but take the small ones away straight away, get rid of those. They're going to compete for nutrients as they're growing, and eventually root space. We've got 2 little ones there as well. We only want 1, pinch that top off. And even those there, 2 tiny little plants, but that one is slightly more advanced than this, so that one can go. And now we've just got 1 tomato plant in each, and we said we only wanted 6 plants, so I think we've about cracked that already. We will be planting some more tomato seeds later on. We're not just doing Moneymaker, we're going to do some container cherry tomato ones as well, and maybe some Shirleys. I haven't quite decided yet. Still plenty of time to start growing tomatoes, so we don't need to rush. Spring is almost here. By the end of this month, the clocks will be going forward an hour. We'll get an extra hour's daylight, and that's going to help your plants grow even faster, and hopefully it'll start to warm up a bit too. We've had a bit more advancement on this rhubarb plant. Quite a bit really, considering it's early. They grow really fast. I'm going to pop it on this bench. I'll let you have a better look at it. So that's our container rhubarb. And look how much more growth we've got. All this is new. We've got some fresh little stems coming up there. But these have really put some size on. There's another one at the back. Then this really big one just here. So for a container rhubarb plant, that's doing really well. But you might also notice something else in this container. And it's not a rhubarb. And that's this. That's a potato plant. There must have been a tiny little potato in the bottom of this container. And of course, this is what happens. Even from last year, they'll still try and regrow. But we don't want it in with this rhubarb. So unfortunately, we need to take it out. And I could dig down, try and get the potato itself, which would be a lot better. But I don't think it's going to have it, so I'm just going to break that top off. We've got most at root out as well, and that's that potato plant got rid of. Because if you're growing rhubarb in containers, they need plenty of root space, so you don't want anything else in a container with those. And we've got more onions that are growing now. You can see all these green tops now starting to come through. So for early in the year, that rhubarb plant's looking amazing. Even though it is in quite a small container, it's managing perfectly fine. We'll just give it a bit of feed every couple of weeks and see how big we can get that plant to grow. And if you are doing the same thing we are, growing the onions in trays like that, just popping the sets in to start them off. Don't continuously water them. They don't need it. If you do, you're going to start running risk of rotting roots, and you don't want that. Not once you've got them started. So just let them dry out, even completely dry out so this tray's really light, and then just give them a light watering and that'll do. Another thing about these as well is you need to keep your eye on roots. These have only got little shoots on top at the moment, but if you look underneath, look at all those roots. Quite a bit of root there for a tiny little plant. So you could move these on if you want to. You can plant them outside if you want, just put them outside in the garden. But if we do get a bad frost, it could affect the growth, so you'd have to fleece them, maybe double fleece them for now. but we don't want to get into a position where we can't get these out. So far, these will still pull out, but we've got a nice little root system. These are alright for now, but we're going to use these as container onions. So at any point, I can now move them to the container where they'll stay until we're ready to harvest them. For the moment, I think they'll be alright. We can give them a couple more weeks in there and then start setting as containers up, because this year we're going to be doing mainly container gardening, and there is a reason we're not planting things outside at the moment, and I'll have more news about that after this weekend, so I will update you on what's happening. And I'll probably not be making a video tomorrow because I've got quite a few things that I need to sort out, and Julie and John know all about that, and we'll see what happens come tomorrow afternoon, and we'll text you probably around about 5 or 6 o'clock when we get back. So if you're interested in seeing what else we're going to be doing on that lead up to spring, which is almost here, then please hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and I'll see you next time. And if you do this, make sure you take them back indoors afterwards, just in case we get a frost. Take care.